Hello everyone, and welcome to Session 3 of the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle. My name is Randy Henderson, and I am one of the Black Feminist Reading Circle members of this online group. This session runs from January 20th until June 2nd and includes 2 week-long breaks. Our democratically selected reading material is Harriet A. Washington's book, Medical Apartheid, The Dark History of Medical Experimentation on Black Americans from Colonial Times to the Present. Our book group meets each Tuesday evening from 6:30 to 8 on the Google Plus Hangouts on Air platform. You may find the Global Black Feminist Reader Circle on Google Plus, YouTube, and Facebook, and always feel free to join us in reading our story together.
Welcome everybody to the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle, where we are reading for change. We are all in a good mood and happy tonight because we are closing the book on Harriet A. Washington's Medical Apartheid, The Dark History. She ain't never lied. The dark history.
Yes.
Of medical experimentation on Black Americans from colonial times to the present. We actually finished reading last week. You are invited to join our community on Google Plus, or follow our Facebook page, or look up the hundreds of videos that are archived on YouTube under the name the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle. And my name is Michelle Odom. I'm one of the co-hosts of the group, along with Randy Henderson, who will join us shortly. And I'm located in Brooklyn, New York.
I'm Thaddeus John Bell, and I'm a practicing physician in Charleston, South Carolina. And one of my passions is dealing with health disparities that affect African Americans and the underserved.
I'm Joel JJ, hailing you from Charleston, South Carolina. I'm glad to be here amongst all the women and one other man.
Let's stay in the South, Georgette.
Okay, my name is Georgette Moses, and I'm in Columbia, South Carolina. And I'm happy to see everyone here, and I'm ready to decompress.
All right. And the extreme north, Vanita.
Good evening. My name is Vanita Walker, and I'm joining you from Cromwell, Connecticut, which is the extreme north of Connecticut, right before you hit Massachusetts. Welcome.
And finally, Kim.
Hi everybody, I'm Kim Brandon, and I'm also in New York City, and looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Randy. I'm watching from Atlanta, and I'm happy to see everyone.
So let's start with the key lessons. Question number 2. Vanita, who did not do her homework.
Call me out, Michelle, again.
But fortunately I did, so if you can't think of anything to say, I can. So point number 2. Page 2.
One of the key lessons we should hold on to from the introduction of Medical Apartheid, Part 1, and a troubling tradition. I won't go by the bullet points. However, I do believe one that stands out for me, and I think it's very important, is having consent, giving your consent to any medical or therapeutic research or medical procedure, being very vigilant of that. The other day I was talking to Michelle, and I think we were talking about how many times you are being experimented on without even knowing it.
Mm-hmm.
What were we discussing, Michelle? The other day we were talking about that.
I don't remember.
I think I remember exactly what it was. I was talking to my insurance company about my medication. And the way insurance companies have it set up now is they have therapeutic steps. So in other words, if your doctor said that you need a brand name of certain medication to treat a heart condition, although your doctor should be the person that knows best to advise you, you can interject whenever you like, Dr. Bell. The insurance companies are saying otherwise. The insurance companies saying, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Doe, we want you to take this generic brand, go through our therapeutic steps before we will allow your doctor to prescribe
The brand name.
Brand name.
Yes. So Michelle and I were discussing that because I was going through a lot of change with the insurance company about my doctor when he prescribed for me. And I never thought about it. I'm saying to myself, well, hold up. I feel like they're experimenting with me still without my consent, because they now have all this data unknowingly to me from all these folks that are going through these therapeutic steps before they will allow the doctor to prescribe the brand name, which actually puts the power in their hand to even more power in their hand, going by their data to say, well, you know what, only 50% of the people seem to be doing pretty good with this medication. Another 20% seem to be doing A-okay. So that only leaves 30% that actually may need this brand name. Well, from now on, we will not allow the doctors to prescribe that brand name. And it really bothered me, Dr. Bell.
All right, let's deal with that, because there are a couple of things that I want to make you aware of. This is not that's a good example, and that's a perfect place to start, because that's not experimentation. Okay, let me explain to you how that works. But first, I think that we should explain to you the difference between generic drugs and brand medications. Okay. Now, the information that I'm going to give you is unbiased, and I can tell you that this is something that I deal with on a daily basis with insurance companies. Let's just take a look at the drugs first. The drugs that insurance companies prescribe I want you to take most of the time are generic medications. These are the medications that are the cheapest medications for the insurance company to pay for. That's all. It doesn't mean that those medications don't work. It just means that they are the cheapest ones for the insurance company to pay for, and they are the cheapest ones for the patient to take. These medications are usually, for an example, a couple of these medications were developed 20 years ago, okay? And some of these medications require you to take them twice a day or maybe 3 times a day. It means that the medications are effective, but when compared to the brand medications, which were just developed a year ago, those medications may not have to be taken but once a day. Now, I got to remind you that the drug companies and the pharmaceutical companies spend billions of dollars developing these new medications. Billions of dollars developing these new medications. And they really do have the right to charge for these new medications that they have spent a lot of money putting in to research. One of the examples that I like to use, and I tell patients, look, you can take the Taj Mahal drug, which I know how to prescribe, or you can take the Walmart drugs, which I know how to prescribe. Both of them work. However, the Walmart drugs you may have to take twice a day. The Taj Mahal drugs are so developed you may not have to take it, but they got Taj Mahal drugs that we can give for diabetes. You don't have to take but once a week. Now, your insurance company, they will allow you to pay for that drug, but right now, keep in mind that the insurance company wants to make money. They don't want to spend money, and as long as the outcome is the same, they're going to require you to take the Walmart drug. Now, case in point, just today, I had a lady come in and she told me she was being treated for diabetes. Diabetes was under excellent control, but she told me that she couldn't afford to pay for the medication. So I said, well, now I can give you some different medications, but the medications that I'm going to give you, you're now going to have to take 3 times a day as opposed to once a week. All right. So she thought about it for a while, and she said, you know what? I think I want to stay on the once a week meds because I don't want to take my medications 3 times a day. So the medications. So when doctors and trust me, when doctors have to put patients on I hate putting patients on generic medicines because these medicines were developed 20 years ago. I don't use them anymore. I think the patient compliance goes down when you use old medicines. Think of it as, would you rather ride in a Cadillac that's a 2015 or one that's a 1998? Now they both will get you to Columbia, all right? But one is going to get you to Columbia a lot, with a lot more comfort, with stereo and etc. The other one will get you to Columbia with a lot of lumps and bumps. So this is not experimentation. The generic drugs work. The insurance company just wants you to take the generic drugs because the generic drugs are cheaper, and the insurance companies will oftentimes forge these relationships with these pharmaceutical companies that make the generic drugs so that they can make money. Now, if you want to take the brand drugs, you're more than welcome to take the brand drugs, but you're going to pay more money for them. So it's not experimentation.
So in other words, you're saying that the brand name generic drugs always work as well as the brand name. It's just
and in fact, chemically, if we were to look at the chemical structure of the brand name drugs and the generic drugs, it would be just a change in 1 or 2 molecules that would make it different. Now, here's something else that you got to keep in mind. The brand name drugs, let's say that the brand name drugs may not cause you to have any side effects like diarrhea, but the generic drug may cause you to have diarrhea. It may work, but it may cause you to have a side effect. Now, that doesn't happen in everybody, but it does happen in some patients. So just keep in mind that brand name drugs do work. Brand name drugs do work. And if you can get away with taking brand name drugs and they keep your blood pressure under control, they keep your sugar under control, they keep your arthritis under control, I recommend that you take the brand name drugs. But if the brand name drugs don't work, then you have to ask your doctor to switch you to switch you. if the generic drugs don't work, then your doctor will have to switch you to the brand name drugs. I hope I made that kind of clear to you. You have any questions about it?
Yes, no, I think you've made it clear. I had something different in mind, but no, you've answered a lot of my questions.
Right, and you know, a lot of patients. Now this is another thing that will oftentimes happen. Let's just say that there's a drug that's called metformin that they use for diabetes. You take it twice a day. And this is I'm gonna give you a true story. A lady came in to see me. She was taking metformin twice a day, and she told me that every once in a while the metformin caused her to have diarrhea. Okay, she liked the course of the drug, but about every week she would get a case of diarrhea, and we came to the conclusion it was from the metformin. Now, metformin is a wonderful drug, and the American Diabetic Association recommend that that's the go-to drug that we start all patients on. However, she was having diarrhea, so now fortunately enough for her insurance company recommended that we use a brand name drug. And the brand name drug that we are going to use with her is the one that she can take just once a week. So in that case, the drug company had already forged a relationship with the brand name company that made that drug. And so she did better by going from the metformin to the drug that she's going to take once a week. But that's not the way that it happens all the time. Have any of you all had that experience?
No, but what's the name of the brand name drug?
Michelle.
In this particular case, the brand name drug that she was going to be taking for her sugar was called Bydureon. And it's a new medication. It's not an insulin. I call it it's one of the drugs that was recently developed, and you can take it once a week to help control your diabetes. And just so happened, the insurance company that she had formed a relationship with the Bydureon company, and she's now going to be able to take this drug once a week for her sugar, as opposed to the one that I originally prescribed for her. So this is not experimentation. This is just the way the process works. The same thing goes with blood pressure medicines. A lot of the new blood pressure medicines that they made 20 years ago, they had side effects, and you had to take them 3 times a day. Now they got blood pressure medicines that you can take once every 3 days that they've developed. But those medications cost a lot of money than your insurance company is willing to pay for.
Okay.
So therefore, they recommend that you take the cheaper one that works for you and works for them. Now, if something happens and it doesn't work, then we have to document. That medicine didn't work, and then we have to get special permission from the insurance company to put you on a more recently developed drug. Doctors really hate that, because that means that we have to spend more time talking to the insurance companies, which we don't get paid for. We don't get paid for talking to the insurance companies. But if I spend half of my day talking to the insurance companies, I'm not going to be able to pay my staff, because I've spent all day long trying to get a drug approved. So those are just some of the kind of issues that we as physicians have to deal with.
Well, thank you. That helps, and I know even Vanita gets mad about how much time she has to spend on the phone with the insurance companies.
Right.
So,
and I'll tell you something. Most of the time, the insurance companies will give you a list of the drugs that they are willing to pay for. And so you can take the list to your doctor and say, well, I'd like to try one of these drugs because my insurance company is saying that this drug is not going to cost me a lot of money. And he can try one of those drugs, but just keep in mind that that drug may not work for you. Okay. And so if it doesn't work for you, And the way you know that is if your blood pressure continues to be high every time you come to the doctor's office and you're seeing that doctor and he knows and you're telling him that you are taking the medication, then you don't want to be on something that's not working. That doesn't make sense. So you definitely want to get off that medicine and get on something that's going to work, that's going to keep your blood pressure under control.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.